Listen. Do you hear them? The shuffle of little shoes. A small group of children walk together, their voices drifting like sparrows in the warm air. They giggle, they wonder, they point. But then, they stop. For before them rises something strange, something rare. Not a tree, not a mountain, not a house. It is a temple, but not like others. This one seems as if it has grown straight from the earth, as if the mountain itself has turned into walls, pillars, towers, and steps. The Kailas Temple, one of the greatest mysteries carved by human hands. A place where rock itself became sculpture, where stone was cut, not built, where questions begin before answers even dare to arrive. The children move closer. Their voices soften. They place their palms on its cold skin. Rock. Only rock. Grainy to the touch, stubborn beneath their fingertips. Yet from this silent hardness, graceful shapes bloom. Elephants kneel in stone. Pillars rise, too tall for a single person to hug. High above, spires climb towards the sky, as if reaching for clouds. And all of it, every detail, every curve, has been cut from one single mountain. One child runs their hand along a carved elephant. The trunk looks alive, the ears wide, as though a gust of wind might lift them. Another child tilts their head and whispers, "But where are the bricks? Where are the joints?" There are none. No blocks stacked on each other. No line where one piece ends and another begins. The whole temple is one piece, carved downwards into the hill. Not built up, but cut away. Not added, but revealed. And now the questions start to rise. The children's eyes grow round with wonder. One says, "Maybe giants came with golden chisels." Another laughs. Or maybe the mountain fell asleep and dreamt of a temple, and when it woke, the dream was still there. They imagine armies of sculptors clinging to ropes, chiseling endlessly, the sound of hammer against rock ringing through centuries. They imagine secret powers, forgotten spells, or gods who shaped it with a single breath. They wonder aloud. How? Why? How many days would it take? How many hands? How many lives? Could anyone today do the same? With all the machines and cranes and tools we know, could we carve such a thing from solid mountain without mistakes, without breaking the heart of the rock? The mystery swells like the echo of their voices. And for a moment, even the grown-ups do not answer. Only silence. Only the wind moving slow across stone that has waited for centuries. At last, the story begins to unfold. This is Ellora, in Maharashtra, India. Long ago, over 1,000 years in the past, kings and craftsmen began their work here. Caves first, shrines next. Many hands carving into volcanic rock. But then came the most daring of all, the Kailasa temple. How was it made? Not from the ground up. Instead, the builders chose the hardest path. They cut into the mountain itself, from the top moving down, as though peeling stone like fruit. Imagine it. Instead of placing one brick upon another, they removed almost everything, leaving behind only what they desired. 100,000 tons of rock cut away. Not carried far, just cleared, taken aside, broken into dust. Imagine the ringing sound of tools, the smell of dust heavy in the lungs, the sharp taste of grit in the air. It may have taken 20 years. Or a century. We do not fully know. But think of it. Every mistake would be permanent. One wrong strike, one broken edge, and the temple would forever carry that wound. Yet still, the work continued. Generation after generation, chiseling, carving, shaping. Some say there were hidden plans, secret methods of measurement, systems now lost to us. Others believe patience itself held the key. That devotion gave strength. That thousands worked not just as builders, but as believers, carving not for themselves, but for their gods. The temple is called Kailasa, named after the mountain home of Lord Shiva. Its form is poetry in stone. Animals, gods, guardians, halls, shrines. Every detail alive. Its design carries both devotion and engineering, both prayer and geometry. Still, questions remain. Did they really do this with simple hammers and chisels? Could it have been faster? Could something else, something unknown, have helped? This is where belief touches mystery. Some see only skilled human hands, guided by clever minds. Others see divine guidance. Perhaps both are true. Perhaps the human wish to reach beyond itself has always been touched, quietly, by something more. The children sit now in the temple's shadow. Their voices are quieter, their laughter less loud. They look again at the walls that rise like cliffs. One whispers, "So it was not magic at all. It was people." Another adds softly, "But still, it feels like magic." And this is the lesson, hinted before, now clear, that the difference between ordinary and impossible is often just patience, vision, and time. That hands guided by belief and by love for their work can shape even the hardest stone. The Kailas temple stands not just as a place of worship, but as proof of what can happen when humans dare to attempt the impossible. Look closer, and you may see more than carvings. You may see the shadow of those who cut and carried, who dreamed and created. You may hear, in the silence, the faint sound of chisels striking, of determination echoing forever. In our world today, we rush. We hurry. We build tall towers quickly, with speed, with machines. But here is something different. Something slower. Something carved from patience itself. The children rise to leave. They hold hands and walk away, still glancing back. Still whispering. One turns once more and says, almost to the stone itself, "You were not built. You were revealed." And in that thought, the temple seems to breathe. The sun throws gentle light on its surface, and the air shimmers with quiet mystery. So the lesson lingers. Sometimes the greatest beauty is not added, but uncovered. Sometimes the miracle is not in building, but in seeing what is already hidden inside, waiting for the hand that dares to set it free.